I don't get it. EVs, are they good for the environment or are they not good for the environment? We are getting some mixed signals here. What am I talking about? Well, new parking levies being introduced on EVs. This is happening in London, and in fact, it's already happened. What? Eh? Really? Oh yeah, I'll tell you everything right after this.
A brown car guy. Brown car guy.
So, in a striking turn of events, this is both controversial and frankly bewildering, electric vehicle owners are finding themselves in the crosshairs of new policies that could significantly hike their parking costs. And this development comes as a bitter pill to swallow, especially after years of governmental and environmental advocacy urging drivers to make the switch to these so-called greener, more sustainable vehicles. The emerging narrative is laden with irony and frustration as these new levies appear to undermine the very principles that promoted the adoption of EVs, leading to this sense of disillusionment among the eco-conscious, quite frankly. So what I mean by that is that, we've been told this whole time is that EVs are the way to go, zero emissions at the tailpipe. Now, we'll just point out that, in fact, when you talk about emissions on vehicles, just 15% actually relate to the tailpipe, and the rest of the emissions are usually down to the tires and the tarmac. So as the cars are rolling along, you do get tire emissions and you get emissions from the tarmac itself. And actually that's where a lot of the particulate emissions actually come from. But having said that, and also I should add, and as some people will no doubt point out, that EVs, because they're heavier, have slightly more tire emissions. But actually it's only slightly more. I saw it in a video that I did about a year ago or something. I went to an exhibition where they had 2 cubes. And this was like a day's worth of particulate emission. And the EV was just, I would say, about 5%, 5 to 10% bigger. That was it. So there is a little bit more, but not more, not a huge amount more. But don't forget, that's when the cars are actually moving, not when they're parked. And we go back to that whole earlier argument that I had in the previous video about why are you charging cars for being higher emissions when they're parked, because they're not emitting anything when they're parked. They're just parked, So what's happening here is that the core of this discontent lies in the introduction and consideration of parking rules by various London councils, which, in a surprising twist, are targeting electric vehicles, as I've said. Not for the emissions in this case, but for the physical attributes. Ooh. Can't do that with humans, but we can do it with vehicles, I guess. Namely, yes, their size and their weight. Ooh, you is fat. That's what they're saying to cars. That's what, let's be honest, they are. There's somebody posted a picture the other day. You take a picture of like a classic Mini next to a modern Mini, you'll be staggered. You'll be like, well, how comes the new car is like so much bigger and we still consider it a small car? Cars have grown. There's no question about that. They have. But a lot of that is down to, we're not talking EVs anymore. I'm talking cars in general. But a lot of that down is the safety legislation. Because of all the safety roll cages, safety crash structures, all the safety devices that are in the cars have made them bigger and bigger and bigger. And also because people demand bigger cars. That's why there's a huge desire for SUVs and stuff like that. Having said that, big cars are not unprecedented, because don't forget the land yachts of the 50s, 60s and 70s in America. They were ginormous. They still are. So it's not unprecedented. But yes, normal cars, especially that we're used to here in Europe, have definitely got bigger, and EVs bigger still, primarily because they have those huge battery packs that normally live in the floors of the cars, sandwiched in the floors. That certainly makes them heavier as well. This policies are grouping environmental friendly EVs with traditional, less eco-conscious SUVs under the same punitive financial measures. The rationale? The average electric car with its hefty battery packs weighs in at around 2 tons, approximately 400 kilograms heavier than the typical petrol or diesel vehicle. This increased heft is said to contribute to greater wear and tear on road surfaces and occupy more space, issues that urban planners are keen to address. Now, 2 things here. First of all, I don't think the more space argument really washes, because cars have got bigger anyway. And the fact that you put batteries in a car doesn't make the car actually physically bigger. It does make it heavier. And like I said, an average of 400 kilogram increase. It does make it heavier, but it doesn't make it bigger. Because you've even got small cars that are electric. You've got the Honda E, you've got the e-Pulsar 208, whatever. So it doesn't make them physically bigger. So that's a completely wrong assumption. Cars have got bigger anyway. So the fact that if they're 2 meters wide or more than 2 meters wide, that's cars in general. That's not EVs in particular. Yes, EVs are heavier though. There's no question about that. But having said that, cars also have been getting heavier. 2-ton SUV, let's say 2 tons, the average EV is 2 tons. Yeah, but imagine the road is now largely populated by SUVs, and a huge number of those SUVs are already at 2 tons. And I'm not talking EVs now, I'm talking regular petrol, diesel SUVs. They're already around, I mean, a Land Rover Discovery is over 2 tons, easily. It's slightly a moot argument, but it is fair to say that EVs are generally heavier than their equivalent ICE cars, but I wouldn't say that they're that much heavier than the sort of cars that are on the road anyway. So, it's like it all balances out. So it's kind of, I don't really get it. Islington Council has been at the forefront of this contentious shift. I grew up in Islington. Glad I don't live there now. Implementing a tiered permit system where EV owners could find themselves paying up to £230 annually for the privilege of parking. Yeah, so get this. The fee structure is directly tied to the vehicle's battery capacity. So here's another, all the complications that you have to think about when you're buying an EV. How fast does it charge? Which battery does it have? How often will I use it? What is the range? Where will I be able to plug in? What chargers will I be able to use? Should I get a smart charger? Should I get a home charger? All of these things, now you have to think about how big is the battery, because that's how much it's going to cost me to park it. For example, fee structure is directly tied to the vehicle's battery capacity, with a 30 kilowatt per hour EV incurring about £100 a year in charges, while those equipped with batteries larger than 90 kilowatt per hour, which is often where you get the longer range and more power, so certainly the sportier stuff and the longer range stuff, they will face the steeper end of the scale, up to £230. This move has not only sparked outrage among EV owners, but has also led to an intense debate about the fairness and implications of such policies. Yeah, damn right, I would say. Now, this controversy was further inflamed by Westminster City Council's decision to dramatically revise its parking fee structure, effectively ending the preferential treatment that was previously given to EVs. Now, under the new scheme that's set to be introduced, the cost of parking an electric vehicle would soar by an eye-watering 1,800%, 1,800% in certain zones. For instance, once an EV, it would cost an owner about 96 pence to park it for a 4-hour stay. That could skyrocket to £18 and 18 pence. So that's how that percentage is increasing. And this applies to various user groups, including tradespeople and small businesses. So even if they've forced people into EVs, they've got tradesmen to get EVs so that they can come into the congestion zone and into the ULEZ zone, but now they could be facing charges of about £35 a day just to park the vehicles. Wow. Wow. Okay, so they've gone to all the effort to avoid that £12.50 charge or whatever, and the £15 charge to get into town. So that's the £30 that they've avoided, and now, actually less than £30 that they've been avoided, and now they're going to be hit with £35 to park the car. Wow, way to go. Way to go. Well done. I mean, yeah, I'm sure the tradespeople are going to love the council for that. These measures, while defended by some as necessary steps to manage urban space and infrastructure demands, are sending shockwaves through the community of EV advocates. Yeah, because this is the thing with EVs at the moment, EVs are great cars. They're getting better and better all the time. The technology is getting better and better all the time. And for a lot of people, they're going to make a lot of sense. People should really consider them. EV prices secondhand now have really, really dropped. So if you want to try out an EV as your car, that's probably the route to go. Buy a secondhand one. New, they're still very expensive, but secondhand prices are pretty much on par with internal combustion engine cars. So you can try one out that way and see if it works for you. And for a lot of people, it will work. And if they just do short mileage around town and stuff like that, it's actually the better car to have. But all of these arguments have come up against a wall of negativity, of misconceptions, of myths, and all of these things about EVs that are out there in the market, which is putting people off. And now you've got this on top of that, where they've taken away the subsidies, and then they're hitting people with charges, which was inevitable, because this whole thing about buy EVs and you won't have to pay anything. No, because if everybody changes to EVs, then the revenue that you earn of ICE internal combustion engine cars, in terms of taxes and in terms of the tax on the fuel, they have to make that up somehow, so they have to find another way to hit you, and that's what they're doing. That's all right. And this whole excuse about the size and the weight, especially the size, it's complete bunkum, and the weight is like fractionally. I mean, I don't think it's that much more, honestly, in terms of the road wear. Oh my God, if your tarmac can't handle that, then there's something wrong with the way that you're making the tarmac, let's be honest. And so EV advocates are like, well, this is bad. And it's bad enough also that, don't forget, the external charging is another reason that's put people off EVs, is that externally, the EV advocates are already arguing that tax should be taken off public charging to make it cheaper to charge the cars, because now at the moment it's on price parity with fueling your car with petrol. Anyway, The juxtaposition of promoting electric vehicles as a cornerstone of sustainable transportation policy, only to then penalize their use in urban settings, is drawing comparison to inevitably the diesel debacle of yesteryears. This is what I've been saying all along, that I do worry that we're going to go full circle. I remember back in late 90s I was at Parker's, early 2000s I was at Parker's, guys, and around that time diesel was being really heavily pushed, and I was fielding calls from people saying we need to switch to diesel. I was like, why? You know, you do enough miles. No, well then stay with the car you have. But everybody was like, no, we must get diesel because we've been told that's better. And then fast forward to today, and then we're told that no, it's bad because of all the emissions that are coming out of them, which ironically is not true, because the latest generation of Euro 6 diesels are actually, the air coming out is actually cleaner than the air going in because of all of the filters that are actually in the car. You know, so diesel cars were lauded for their fuel efficiency and lower CO2 emissions, only for public opinion to sour dramatically as concerns over NOx emissions and particulates came to the forefront, leading to widespread stigmatization and regulatory clampdowns. And of course now we see diesel sales literally nose diving off a cliff right now. I mean, the sales have just gone down to nothing. And I've always said that what if we need to just slow down and have a think about electric cars, because what if in 10-15 years time we do the same again? We tell people, oh, you know, we told you to buy electric cars. Yeah, we decided that wasn't a great idea. We need to really think these things through, and we also need to let that technology mature. EV technology, electric vehicle technology, is still in its infancy, and it's fantastic and it's brilliant, and the rate of acceleration and progress, especially now with AI sort of helping that progress, is staggering. But it's still in its infancy, and it's going to get better, but we shouldn't be like forcing it so quickly. But anyway, this isn't going to help anyway, even for those people that want to change, because they say, well, you know, even if you change, we're still going to hit you with parking charges, and we might hit you with even more parking charges because you bought an EV. That's just great. I mean, honestly, like, you know, I won't tear my hair out because I don't have that much of it, but I will tear my hair out. Honestly, this is the craziness of you know, this confusion, the mixed signals that you're sending to motorists all across the country. Should you buy an EV or shouldn't you buy an EV? Is it good or isn't it good? What's going on here? It's absolutely crazy right now. We need to step back. We need to think, if you want people to change to EVs in an environment where the consumer is not really interested widely in terms of EV adoption, even in some cases where they really should be and it is the right car for them, then you really need to incentivize those people. I mean, at the moment, we have a situation, as I've covered in the previous video, look up ZEV mandate on this channel. There's a situation where manufacturers are now being forced to sell a minimum amount of EVs. So this year, in 2024, it's 22%. Next year goes up to 28%, and so on and so on. So, you know, the number of ICE cars that are available literally will start to diminish, and the number of EVs that are available will have increased. Last year we had 16.5% EV sales, and this year we are enforcing 22%. So that's a significant jump. And a large part of those are going to fleet sales, you know, because there's still there's BIK benefit in kind for company car drivers, but even that's diminishing. It's going down every year. You know, we need to actually incentivize people to move to EVs, not disincentivize them by doing ridiculous things like that. And that too in Westminster, in the heart of government, in the capital city. What is going on, people? Does life make sense to you? If it does, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll catch you all in the next video. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video as well if you can. And while you're at it, check out these guys who also sponsor my content. I am deeply grateful to them because it helps me to buy new equipment, put fuel in the cars, and yes, buy a cup of coffee. You can do the same. Just go here or right here on YouTube. Just hit these three little dots down here and click on thanks. Make sure you're signed in first. My content is free, but this is how you can help me keep it that way. I may even send you a gift. Oh, by the way, watch this next.